So as you all know, last year there were 3 different statewide teacher strikes in red states across the country. There were strikes that took place in Arizona, Oklahoma, and West Virginia, and I'm really happy to report that the teacher strike is not going to end with 2018 because it is continuing into 2019, and it's now spilling over into its first blue state. And that state is California, because there are teachers across the state that just went on strike this week in the rain. And for more on this, we go to CBS Los Angeles, who reports in the first walkout since 1989, the 30,000 teachers represented by United Teachers of Los Angeles went on strike after 21 months of failed negotiations. The strike impacts 480,000 students served by the LAUSD, the second largest school district in the nation. At a separate morning news conference, UTLA President Alex Caputo-Pearl addressed fellow union members, parents, and students at John Marshall High School. Here we are on a rainy day in the richest country in the world, in the richest state in the country, in a state that's as blue as it can be, and in a city rife with millionaires, where teachers have to go on strike to get the basics for our students, Caputo-Pearl said. Now, if you just think this is only about teachers requesting higher pay, then that would be an oversimplification, because this is also about the conditions, which are way worse than I could have even imagined, because it's been a while since I've attended public school, but I can't even comprehend how bad the situation is, and I couldn't really until it was put in perspective by a documentary released by Vice, where the teachers explain what's going on, and it is ugly.
A lot of our schools don't have a full-time nurse. We don't have enough counselors. That raises huge ethical concerns because so many of our students are living in poverty, and our job as a school is to respond to those needs.
And do you feel like you can do that given the circumstances right now?
It isn't easy to create an environment where students feel comfortable. So when you learn that the district has a reserve of nearly $2 billion. The question is, why isn't that money being used to fully fund our schools and to actually meet the needs of our students?
We, the people, not the politicians, are still the boss.
The underfunding of LA schools goes back to the Taxpayers' Revolt of 1978, when California voters passed Proposition 13. The ballot measure capped local property taxes and, as a result, gutted school budgets statewide. California now ranks near the bottom in the country on per-pupil spending and student-teacher ratios. So when the LA Teachers Union asked its members to authorize a strike last year, the response was overwhelming. 98% voted yes. There's a reason for that. While LA's schools are struggling, a lot of teachers believe that rather than fix them, the school district would prefer to abandon them to charters and other privatization schemes. Over the years, the LA school district has slashed the budget for basic support staff. There are now fewer than 400 nurses for roughly 900 school campuses.
Teachers united will never be defeated!
Stephanie Yellen-Mednick is a school nurse in the San Fernando Valley who's helped organize her colleagues for the strike. She used to work at one school full-time. Now she splits her time between 4.
I think we're a little nervous about this and very scared in a way, because it's not something we really want to do.
It's pretty surprising to hear that there are so many schools that only have a nurse come in once a week. It's like a little bit, how does that even work? I mean, what happens if the nurse is only there on a Thursday? What happens when a kid gets sick on a Monday? I mean,
don't have an emergency on a Monday.
It's not just the nurse just being there one day a week. We have no confidentiality in many of our offices. At one of the schools, the nurse works in a hallway or under the stairwell, a closet, the bathroom.
I watched that, and my response was that I was speechless. I was legitimately speechless. This situation is absolutely incomprehensible. Again, we live in the richest country in the world, and this is the condition that students and teachers have to put up with, where they can't even get a nurse 5 days a week. So if you get sick on a Monday and the nurse is only there on Thursday, then you're screwed. And it's not even like they have actual quarters for a nurse. They have to do it under staircases and bathrooms. This is absolutely insane. I mean, these are standards that are likely on par with some third world countries, and it's not acceptable there too. I think all students around the globe need a chance. They need an education that actually is going to function, right? That they need a school that is functional. But here in the richest country in the world, in California, they have to do nursing-related activity in bathrooms and under stairs. What the fuck is going on? How can Donald Trump complain about the border crisis and how that's a national emergency, but this isn't? And this is just one of the many issues that capture how fucked up our country has become. Flint, they don't have clean drinking water in 2019. No clean drinking water. Our infrastructure is crumbling before our very eyes. Nurses have to balance their schedule between multiple schools, and we have a president who's worried about this manufactured border crisis. I mean, the state of America is embarrassing. You can't, with a straight face, continue to tell me that this is the greatest country on earth when we have students who can't see a school nurse because they happen to get sick on a certain day of the week. This is absolutely insane. And the fact that this isn't a national outrage, it boggles my mind. I mean, people certainly care about this, but I mean, how can this not be higher on the minds of people? And certainly media is part to blame, but credit where it's due. MSNBC actually did do a segment covering the teacher strike, and I think that that's important, right? But I mean, just the fact that this is happening, we have fallen so far that this is embarrassing. So, without question, I unequivocally stand in solidarity with the teachers, and they deserve to get everything that they are demanding. Now, of course, there's fear-mongering by state officials saying, look, if we give them everything that they want, that's basically going to bankrupt the state. How many millionaires live in LA? Tax the fuck out of them. I'm not talking about a 70% marginal tax rate. We're talking about a 99% marginal tax rate after all income after $5 million. Do that if you have to, and take that extreme measure until this situation, this crisis is ameliorated. Okay, because if these millionaires cry, so be it. The students are what matters. The future of America is what matters. So let's not even try to be kind with unreasonable people. Raise the revenue needed to make sure that these students can actually see a nurse, just the bare minimum of what's expected of a public education. But the reason why these schools are getting terrible is because lawmakers don't care. They're pushing for charter schools and privatization of education so that way the rich can profit off of it. Unacceptable, completely unacceptable. So this is just seeing this documentary and seeing the protests and really hearing the teachers describe the situation is infuriating to me. How can this go on in the richest country in America? It's embarrassing. This segment of the Humanist Report was brought to you by TYT. To support the Humanist Report and TYT simultaneously, you can become a TYT insider for $4.99 per month by going to tyt.com/thehumanist report, or you can go to tyt.com/thr to become a $10 member. You'll get access to all of TYT's shows, post-game extras, as well as behind-the-scenes content. So sign up today at tyt.com.